Seiko has built a legendary reputation for creating beautiful watches that catch your eye and make you reach for your wallet. These timepieces photograph beautifully, look stunning in display cases, and seem like the perfect addition to any collection. But here is the truth nobody wants to tell you. Not every Seiko is worth the money they are asking. Some models look absolutely premium with gorgeous dials and impressive cases, but when you dig deeper into the value, quality, and what you actually get for your hard-earned cash, the story changes completely. Today we are counting down 10 Seiko watches that will make you look twice in the store but should make you think 3 times before buying. Number 10. Seiko Presage Cocktail Time SRPB43. The Seiko Presage Cocktail Time SRPB43 is absolutely gorgeous to look at with its stunning blue dial that seems to glow under light. The sunburst finish is eye-catching and the watch photographs like a dream for social media posts. However, the reality of ownership tells a different story that Seiko fans do not always want to hear. The case is quite thick and wears larger than the specs suggest, making it awkward on smaller wrists. The movement inside is the basic 4R35 caliber, which is reliable, but nothing special for the price point they are charging. The power reserve is only 41 hours, which means it dies quickly if you do not wear it daily. The Hardlex crystal scratches much easier than sapphire and shows wear within months of regular use. For the price Seiko asks, competitors offer sapphire crystals and better finishing as standard features. The date window placement disrupts the dial symmetry that made the design appealing in the first place. The watch has no water resistance worth mentioning, so you need to baby it around any moisture. The bracelet or strap options feel cheap compared to the premium look of the dial. Many owners report the accuracy drifting significantly over time, requiring expensive regulation adjustments. When you compare what you get versus what you pay, better value exists elsewhere in the market at this price point. Number 9. Seiko 5 Sports SRPD57. The Seiko 5 Sports SRPD51 tries hard to capture vintage dive watch charm with its retro styling and sporty aesthetic that looks great in photos. The dial has nice details, and the overall design language feels like something more expensive than the price tag suggests. But spend time with this watch, and you will discover why it is not the bargain it appears to be on paper. The build quality is inconsistent with rough edges and tool marks visible on many examples straight from the factory. The bezel action feels cheap and loose with significant play that makes precise timing difficult and unreliable. The lume application is weak and fades quickly, making it useless for actual low-light situations despite being marketed as a sports watch. The 4R36 movement inside is loud with an audible rotor noise that bothers many owners during quiet moments. The case finishing is basic with visible machining marks that should not exist on watches at this price level. The supplied rubber strap feels stiff and uncomfortable, often requiring immediate replacement with aftermarket options. Water resistance is rated, but many users report moisture issues with improper sealing from factory. The crown action feels gritty and imprecise during winding and setting operations. For the same money, brands like Orient offer better finishing and quality control on their equivalent models. Number 8. Seiko Prospex Samurai SRPE93. The Prospex Samurai SRPE93 has aggressive styling that looks tough and ready for adventure with angular lines that photograph incredibly well. The unique case shape stands out from typical round dive watches and initially seems like great value. However, the execution falls short of the promising design in ways that matter during actual ownership. The case is massive and wears much larger than dimensions suggest, overwhelming most wrist sizes and looking awkward in daily situations. The finishing is inconsistent with sharp edges that catch on clothing and can actually scratch your skin during active wear. The chapter ring alignment is frequently off-center from factory, a quality control issue that Seiko should have solved years ago. The bezel has 60 clicks, but they feel mushy without the satisfying tactile feedback that quality dive watches provide. The Hardlex crystal is a major cost-cutting measure that scratches easily and looks cheap compared to sapphire competitors. The bracelet has hollow end links that feel flimsy and develop rattle over time with regular wear. The clasp is basic and lacks the micro-adjustment features that modern dive watches should include as standard. The lume is decent, but not exceptional compared to other dive watches in this price category. Many owners complain about the weight distribution feeling unbalanced and uncomfortable during extended wear periods. Number 7. Seiko Prospex Turtle SRPD63. The Prospex Turtle SRPD63 has classic dive watch proportions and a cushion case that looks vintage-inspired and charming in marketing photos. The design has historical significance that appeals to watch enthusiasts who appreciate heritage styling. But the modern execution has problems that make this watch hard to recommend despite its devoted fan following. The case shape sits oddly on the wrist with the cushion design causing it to tilt and not lie flat against your arm. The crown position at 4 o'clock is awkward to operate and feels unnatural during winding and time setting. The Hardlex crystal is domed, which looks nice but scratches incredibly easily, and replacement is expensive and inconvenient. The movement is the standard 4R36, which is adequate but offers nothing special for the premium Prospex pricing. The bracelet uses pressed links that feel hollow and cheap, creating a tinny sound that betrays the quality perception. The clasp lacks proper micro-adjustments, making it difficult to achieve comfortable fit as your wrist changes throughout the day. The bezel action is acceptable, but nothing special with occasional misalignment issues reported by multiple owners. The lume application is uneven with some indices glowing brighter than others, creating an inconsistent appearance. For similar money, competitors offer better finishing, sapphire crystals, and superior bracelets that justify the investment far better than this model does. Number 6. Seiko Alpinist SPB121. The Alpinist SPB121 generates massive hype in watch communities with its internal compass bezel and field watch aesthetic that seems perfect. The green dial is beautiful, and the heritage design has nostalgic appeal that attracts collectors and enthusiasts alike. However, this watch has significant issues that the fan base rarely discusses honestly in their glowing reviews. The compass bezel is nearly useless in practice, too small to read accurately and not luminous enough for low-light navigation. The case is quite thick and wears awkwardly under dress shirt cuffs, limiting its versatility despite being marketed as an everyday watch. The 6R35 movement inside is decent, but nothing exceptional, offering the same performance as movements in watches costing half the price. The cathedral hands look elegant, but make quick time reading difficult, especially in poor lighting situations. The leather strap included is cheap and wears out quickly, requiring expensive replacement to maintain the premium aesthetic. The power reserve is adequate, but not impressive compared to competitors offering 70-hour reserves at similar prices. The watch has minimal water resistance, which is odd for a model inspired by mountain climbing and outdoor adventure. The Cyclops over-the-date magnifies poorly and creates visual distortion that many owners find annoying. The resale value drops significantly because the market is flooded with used examples from disappointed buyers who bought into hype. Number 5. Seiko King. Seiko SPB287. The King Seiko SPB287 recreates vintage aesthetics with sharp angles and beautiful dial finishing that looks absolutely premium in photographs. The Zaratsu polishing technique creates mirror-like surfaces that seem to justify the high price Seiko demands. But beneath the pretty exterior, problems exist that make this watch questionable value compared to alternatives available today. The case finishing is beautiful, but shows every fingerprint and scratch immediately, requiring constant maintenance to maintain appearance. The sharp edges that look great in photos actually dig into your wrist during wear, causing discomfort that worsens over time. The 6R31 movement inside is adequate but not exceptional, offering performance that does not match the premium pricing strategy. The power reserve is only 70 hours, which is standard today, not the impressive feature Seiko marketing suggests. The bracelet is better than cheaper Seikos, but still not on par with competitors at this price point. The clasp lacks refinement with basic construction and minimal adjustment options for proper fit. The date window disrupts the dial symmetry and uses a basic white date wheel that clashes with colored dials. Many owners report accuracy issues with significant time loss requiring professional regulation services. For the money Seiko charges, Swiss brands offer better movements, superior finishing, and more prestigious brand recognition. Number 4. Seiko Prospex Speedtimer Solar Chronograph SSK05. The Speedtimer Solar Chronograph SSK05 looks like a vintage racing chronograph with panda dial aesthetics that photograph beautifully online. The solar power system seems like practical technology that eliminates battery changes and maintenance costs. However, this watch has numerous compromises that make it difficult to recommend despite the attractive vintage-inspired design. The quartz chronograph movement lacks the mechanical soul that vintage chronographs possessed, removing the romantic appeal of the design. The subdials are poorly proportioned with the date window awkwardly placed, disrupting the balanced aesthetic the design attempts. The case is thick and heavy, wearing larger than dimensions suggest and feeling cumbersome during active use. The Hardlex crystal scratches easily, and the domed shape causes glare in bright light, making time reading difficult. The bracelet uses hollow links that feel cheap and develop annoying rattle that makes the watch sound inexpensive. The pushers for the chronograph feel mushy without crisp action, making operation less satisfying than mechanical alternatives. The lume is weak and fades quickly, making the watch useless in low-light situations despite sporting pretensions. The solar charging requires regular light exposure or the watch stops, defeating the convenience that solar power supposedly provides. For similar money, actual mechanical chronographs are available that offer better long-term value and collectability than this quartz alternative. Number 3. Seiko 5 Sports GMT SSK05. The Seiko 5 Sports GMT SSK05 promises affordable GMT functionality with sporty styling that looks capable and adventure-ready in marketing materials. The GMT hand adds visual interest, and the watch seems like practical value for travelers. But the execution has problems that become apparent once you use this watch for actual travel purposes. The GMT hand is not independently adjustable, which means the function is basically useless for quick time zone changes during travel. You must move the hour hand, which also moves the date, creating confusion and inconvenience that defeats the GMT purpose. The 4R34 movement inside is reliable, but basic, with loud rotor noise that disturbs during quiet moments. The case finishing is rough with visible tool marks and inconsistent polishing that looks cheap under close inspection. The bezel insert uses painted markings instead of ceramic, scratching and fading quickly with regular use and handling. The bracelet is hollow and rattles annoyingly, feeling substantially cheaper than the watch's appearance initially suggests. The clasp is basic stamped steel without micro adjustments, making comfortable fit difficult to achieve throughout the day. The Hardlex crystal scratches easily, and replacement costs make maintaining this watch expensive over time. For genuine GMT functionality, spending slightly more gets you proper movements that actually make traveling easier. Number 2. Seiko Presage Sharp-Edged SRPF03. The Presage Sharp-Edged SRPF03 showcases Seiko's best dial work with stunning finishing that rivals luxury watches costing thousands more. The faceted indices and hands catch light, beautifully creating visual drama that makes this watch incredibly photogenic. However, serious problems exist beyond the pretty face that make this watch questionable value at its asking price. The sharp case edges that give the watch its name actually cause discomfort, digging into wrists during movement. The case finishing quality is inconsistent with polished surfaces, showing machine marks and imperfections under close examination. The 6R35 movement is adequate, but offers nothing special to justify the premium pricing over standard Seiko 5 models. The power reserve is standard, and accuracy is average, not exceptional, like the premium positioning suggests it should be. The date window uses a basic white wheel that clashes aesthetically with the otherwise sophisticated dial design. The supplied strap is cheap leather that wears out quickly, requiring expensive replacement to maintain the premium appearance. The watch has minimal water resistance, which limits daily wearability and practical utility significantly. The resale value is poor because the market recognizes these watches are overpriced relative to competitors. For the same money, brands like Grand Seiko offer genuinely superior finishing and movements that justify premium pricing. Number 1. Seiko Prospex. Seiko 5 Sports 5KX SRPD57. Taking the number 1 spot is the Seiko 5 Sports 5KX SRPD57, a watch that tries to capture SKX magic but fails in almost every meaningful way that matters. This watch gets recommended constantly online, but the reality of ownership reveals why it represents poor value. The case uses cheaper materials with visible cost-cutting everywhere you look, from hollow-end links to stamped clasps. The Hardlex crystal scratches immediately with normal wear, looking terrible within weeks of regular use and requiring expensive replacement. The 4R36 movement is loud, and accuracy is inconsistent with significant drift that requires professional regulation services. The water resistance is adequate on paper, but quality control issues mean some examples leak, risking expensive water damage. The bezel action is loose and imprecise with excessive play that makes timing functions unreliable for actual use. The lume is weak compared to the legendary SKX, glowing dimly and fading within minutes in darkness. The bracelet is uncomfortable with sharp edges that catch arm hair and skin, requiring immediate replacement with aftermarket options. The crown feels gritty during operation with rough threading that makes time setting and winding unpleasant. This watch exists because Seiko discontinued the SKX, but it fails to capture what made that watch special and beloved.